Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School. Every night on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School. We break down the most urgent topics, the most controversial conversations, the most pressing issues going on in the world today. I am so excited to be here with you, and I want to first apologize for the extraordinary lateness tonight. Normally, we'll do 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. That's a normal night school delay to get the students in the classroom. But tonight we had very seriously a technical issue that prevented us from getting started. I've been sitting here since I think 8:50, 8:55. I was welcoming the early birds to the class. And then a couple of snafus happened. And then right as we were about to get started, I think I told y'all 2 minutes, the platform crashed out, which meant all the elements and all the things that were loaded up disappeared. And so I had to reload everything, which is what took the extra time. Anyway, want to apologize. I take your time seriously. I appreciate what you all do every night, coming here, making appointments with us, with me, to be part of this conversation. I don't take that lightly. So again, my sincerest apologies for the lateness. So much going on before we get started with the big topics of the day. It was an interesting weekend. That's what I'll say. Let me see. I'm typing something in the I'm typing something up so that we can talk about it later, because sometimes people get mad when I don't type. I have random thoughts, and then I share the random thoughts, like that time I told you about Fox News and cocaine. And then at the end, because I don't write it down, it doesn't make it over to my editors, and so they don't find out about it. But I wanted to talk a little bit, first of all, about the last few days. For those that don't know, this was CBC weekend, Congressional Black Caucus weekend. That's not the official name. We call it CBC week. You know what? In fact, it's probably better to call it CBC week. The weekend was important, but it's a whole, I'll give them the proper respect. It's called CBC week. This past week was CBC week. CBC week is where the Congressional Black Caucus holds a week of events, panels, conversations, parties, and of course a big banquet. It's sponsored by the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and the purpose of it is to raise political awareness, to organize nationally, and of course to raise money for important causes, I'm sure. So it's one of those places that I get real anxious about. Anybody who's ever been to DC for CBC weekend understands it's a little bit like Essence Fest for the political class, the Black political class. It's a little bit it ain't Freaknik, but it's like maybe like a Greek picnic for middle class people. And if you live in DC or you're an East Coast person and you're involved in politics at all, it is a huge weekend. It's a big week because, again, everybody's there. All the members of Congress are there, and you get invited down, if you're lucky, to participate in these panels and these conversations. And each panel is sponsored by a member of Congress. And so when your panel gets called in, you go, and Congresswoman so-and-so shows up and, gives you the blessing, and then y'all do your panel. And it's big name stars. There's celebrities, it's actors, it's actresses, it's political leaders, it's civic leaders. It's a big deal. The problem with CBC weekend for me, and the reason why I almost never go, and I mean almost never, is it's just sometimes it just be too much. They be doing too much, Washington is a very transactional place. Both in the political arena and in the political media arena. People who go down there to be seen, to show up, to show out, to make their faces known, not to really get anything done politically, but it's either networking, creeping, uh, grandstanding, it's or stunting, going up there taking pictures for the gram and pretending that you're a bigger deal than you are. So I don't enjoy going. When I go, it ends up being a lot of work, and I don't necessarily appreciate the payoff. The conversations are very mainstream liberal Democrat, which is fine if that's what you are, but that ain't who I am, and so I don't enjoy the conversation. Um, the issues aren't necessarily issues that I think are the most urgent and pressing, or at least the way we approach the issues it doesn't reflect my sentiments. So I usually don't go. But I did go down to CBC week this week. Why did I go? Well, two reasons. One, Congresswoman Cori Bush invited me to participate in a panel with her. And, Cori Bush, as you know, is somebody who I admire a great deal. I admire her because of the sacrifice she made, the commitment she made, because of her activist and organizer energy, because of her willingness to struggle in solidarity, not just Palestinian people, but to struggle on the ground with abolitionists, her commitment to fighting on the streets of Ferguson for justice for Mike Brown, her willingness to stand up across the country to speak out for universal principles around justice and love and equality. For me, that's what it's about. So I had to show up, and so I ended up on a panel with Cori Bush, Oroa Roman, who is a state rep out of Georgia, the one who was denied access to the stage at the Democratic convention last month. Rashida Tlaib, and then of course myself, and the four of us had a wonderful conversation that was moderated by Mehdi Hassan. So it was some troublemakers up in there, and I was actually surprised that the CBC allowed us to be there. I was surprised that the CBC allowed us to be there. They don't usually talk Palestine at the CBC. I don't know how they were going to avoid it after October 7th, and given everything going on, and given the fact that members of the Congressional Black Caucus like Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush had been ousted precisely because of their solidarity with Palestine. But that don't stop. That don't stop some of these Negroes, man. They'll ignore the obvious just because it's politically expedient. So I was proud of the CBC and proud of Cori Bush for making this happen. And there was a moment behind the scenes, as I understand it, I wasn't there, but as I understand it, where they were about to cancel the panel, where they were fighting it to cancel the panel. But instead of canceling the panel, they persisted, they struggled, they fought, and we had the panel. And they gave us like the smallest room in human history. Usually CBC panels, at least mine, not because of me, because of the people I be on with, they can fit 500 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people. This room, it was like the kind I use in my class, my college lectures. It wasn't like a shoe closet, but it wasn't the kind of room you would expect for one of the most hot issues with some of the most important members of Congress there, as well as Mehdi Hassan. It was shocking, actually, how disrespected we were, but we still got it done. I also was able to participate in a session with my dear friend Kimba and sister Kimba Smith, which was convened by the CBC as well, and the CBC Foundation in particular, around criminal justice and how we could reimagine policing, but more importantly, reimagine incarceration, parole, and how we could and it was directed toward young people, how we could not just give them tools to get out of trouble, but to give them tools to not get into trouble. I was very, 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 very excited about that. So I went down there and I was happy to do it, but something else happened. Something else happened. Something else happened. That Friday, they had a Black Excellence brunch. That's right. President Biden asked a bunch of prominent Black professionals to participate in the first ever Black Excellence brunch. where extraordinary Black professionals would be celebrated at the White House at this party on Friday of CBC week. Not coincidental, I'm sure. You got all the Negroes in America there, have them come to the White House for a party. And yes, they said the White House advised them to wear all white. Yeah, so it was an all white party in September for Negroes at the White House. And I was just like, wow. I mean, there's nothing wrong with celebrating Black excellence. It felt like a double up of Juneteenth a little bit, but I was like, if you want to bring some Negroes to the White House, if you want to celebrate Black excellence, fine. If you want to celebrate Black professionals, that's fine. But of course, what is Black excellence, right? That tends to play into very troublesome class politics, and it tends to advance a certain kind of political ideology that says that we will be led by the most talented among us, the talented 10. That old school first round Du Bois ideology of the talented 10. So I was a little bit surprised that they would do that invite so transparently before the election. And it felt to me like, look, we got all these Black people in town, powerful ones. Let's give them the marching orders for November. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with organizing people politically. There's nothing wrong with advancing a political agenda. That's what you do. And if it takes a party or some all white, because don't nobody love an all white party like Negroes, man. And it was a day party too, man. But it just feels like such a cynical attempt to keep Black people on track without any tangible deliverables with regard to policy. Joe Biden is saying, hey, Negroes, come to the White House. But the question is, in exchange for what? While we're at the White House celebrating Black excellence, what are you going to do to advance Black excellence? What are you going to do to spotlight the extraordinary Black excellence that exists in the working class but can't be fully realized because of a lack of a livable wage and a lack of safe working conditions and a lack of workers' rights and an undermining of unions? I'm saying, what can we do fundamentally to address Black excellence, to expand Black excellence, not just to highlight the managerial class, not just for the Black bourgeoisie to pat themselves on the back for very minor accomplishments, as was argued 100 years ago, damn near now, by E. Franklin Frazier in the book Black Bourgeoisie, which y'all should read. But something more real, something more substantive. How can we get there? So, I don't know. I just don't know any other group that would get invited to the White House for such a thing without any political deliverable being offered as well. Look, if you're gonna bring us to the White House and make us wear all white, or not make us back, encourage us to wear all white, and we celebrate, we hug, and we smile, and we take pictures, and we do all this stuff, unveil a reparations plan, or at least or at least articulate a commitment to reparations. Talk about what we're going to do to repair our schools. Talk about what we're going to do to improve maternal morbidity rates. Right? Do something. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's just a bunch of people up here doing the Billy Porter, or being invited tacitly to do the Billy Porter for President Biden. When I say the Billy Porter, I'm talking about when Billy Porter set the race back 200 years by kissing Joe Biden's ring, literally. Anyway, so that was my weekend. That was CBC week. To be clear, I went down there on when did I go? Don't get me lying. Either Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember. But whenever I went, I left immediately after. I left as soon as possible. It was Thursday. I got on the first thing smoking back. I mean, I could not get I was down there for 2 hours. I couldn't get to the train station fast enough. I was like, I don't want no parts of CBC. I don't want nobody welcoming me to a White House. I don't want nobody, asking me to come to the banquet. And again, I'm not dissing all the people who make that choice. Not all of them. Some people are principled and they navigate those spaces well, and they have a broader vision and mission at hand when they do it. But I can't rock with it, man. I can't rock with it. Anyway, big weekend in politics that we need to talk about. Big weekend in American politics in particular that we need to talk about. Let's start with Donald Trump. Donald Trump seems to be in some ways, the luckiest man alive, or maybe the dumbest man alive, or both, right? I mean, he continues to demonstrate almost like a toddler level of political acumen at the same time that he keeps kicking everybody's butt. I mean, it's almost like an idiot savant situation. And lately, Donald Trump's political choices and political presence have been somewhat even more polarizing than normal. And the evidence of that, maybe, is the fact that people keep trying to shoot him. I don't find it funny that people try to shoot Donald Trump. I don't like violence. I don't celebrate violence. I don't endorse violence. And people, please stop trying to shoot Donald Trump. That is not the way to defeat Donald Trump. The way to defeat Donald Trump is to go into the voting booths and outvote him. Vote him out of office. And if you vote him out of office this time, he'll never come back because he will have lost 2 races in a row. He'll be too old to run probably. And he will have lost his political momentum as he's already losing political capital. Hell, he might even be in jail. But that ain't now. Right now, Donald Trump is in a race and people keep trying to not just beat him, but also murder him. There was a suspect who was arrested in a second apparent assassination attempt targeting Donald Trump. And he was hit with 2 federal gun charges. That's right. This man right here, clearly not a member of Mensa, clearly not one of the bright spots in our political landscape. This gentleman, whose name is Ryan Wesley Routh, he's 58 years old, and according to court documents, he was hiding in the bushes outside of Donald Trump's golf course at Mar-a-Lago. How long was he there? 12 hours. That's discipline, yo. That's stamina. That's discipline. It's also crazy as hell. But this man was in the bushes trying to kill Donald Trump, allegedly, with a rifle for 12 hours. Secret Service spotted him Sunday afternoon, Ralph, and they opened fire. He took off and was quickly caught by law enforcement in a nearby county. It doesn't seem that he actually fired any shots himself. Now, this man has a long criminal history that goes back decades. And lately, according to sources, he has been fixated on geopolitics, most especially Russia's war in Ukraine. Now, according to social media posts, Ralph was a Donald Trump supporter at first. He was down with the team. He was a red hat kind of dude. Then he became a critic. And now he wants to murder him. This is the state of American politics. This is the state of American mental health. This is the state of American culture, sadly. Now, of course, after this incident, politicians on both sides quickly denounced political violence. And I get it. What else are you going to do, right? I mean, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you got to say, hey, killing Trump is bad, shooting Trump is bad, shooting anybody is bad. And I agree with all those statements, but it's just fascinating that the person maybe most singularly responsible, as president I'm talking about, for mass riots, insurrections, and various hate movements. I don't know anybody more singularly responsible for that than Donald Trump in the modern era. He seems to also be on the business end of political violence. And I don't think he deserves to be killed. I don't invite death on Donald Trump. Again, don't shoot Donald Trump. Don't bring out weapons. Don't try to harm Donald Trump, y'all. Just go to the voting booth and vote him out. There is, however, some interesting irony that he's receiving this type of violent action and threat when he's the one with the long history of inciting violence in his speeches and in his tweets and in his coded messages. Proud Boys, what does he say? Stand back and stand by, stand by and stand by. I mean, he's always saying things with a little bit of plausible deniability, but over time, he ain't even trying to do that. He just says what he says and don't care. Doesn't care at all. Now, of course, the right wing, especially the MAGA version of the right wing, kept saying, oh, this is Democrats. This is Democrats. They're inviting violence. Democrats do a lot of terrible things. Democrats do a lot of ridiculous things, but it is very clear that political violence in this country is invited by Republicans. Now, Democrats invite all kinds of political violence abroad. We could look in almost every country in the global South and see that Democrats and Republicans have a bipartisan commitment to political violence, to assassinating leaders, to quelling rebellions, to punishing nationalist movements. We can look in Israel right now and Palestine right now and see the role that both parties play in various forms of political violence, certainly funding it, if not always outright endorsing it. So against the backdrop of all of that, Democrats don't have clean hands. But Donald Trump be on some other stuff. He went to Twitter, shockingly, and said this: the rhetoric lies as exemplified by the false statements made by Comrade Kamala Harris, again, coded language, and not a deep code, but calling her comrade, again, calling her communist effectively, during the rigged and highly partisan ABC debate, has taken politics in our country to a whole new level of hatred, abuse, and distrust. Because of this communist left rhetoric, the bullets are flying, and it will only get worse. Allowing millions of people from places unknown to invade and take over our country is an unpardonable sin. Listen, it's an unpardonable sin. So he's invoking the sort of religious language, but also language of unforgivable. It starts to sound like treachery, it starts to sound like treason. You putting the word invade in caps, invoking a sense of war. Our borders must be closed, and terrorists, criminals, and mentally insane immediately removed from American cities and towns, deported back to their counties of origin. I think he means countries, but he's not good at spelling. Or maybe that's my read. You know what? Let me check that, because I might be wrong. I'm reading off something else. Maybe I had a typo. Nope, he said counties. He's an idiot, not me. They are stealing our jobs and our wealth. We cannot let them laugh any longer. Make America great again. And then, of course, Donald Trump sent out emails trying to fundraise. That's right. The moment Donald Trump is, quote unquote, in the clear, i.e. no one's trying to kill him in the moment, he immediately jumps to fundraising and making money off of this. I'm sorry, y'all. I am not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination. I do not believe in the tin foil hat affirming theories that many people do. I don't believe that 9/11 was an inside job. I think that's crazy. I don't believe that the moon landing didn't happen. I think that's bonkers. I don't believe in most of these conspiracies, because I think that they're just uninformed. And sadly, a lot of times the simplest answer is the truest one. People do dumb things and dumb things happen. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to believe that Donald Trump and his assassination attempts are real. I'm sorry. I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying it. Donald Trump says, or the media says, or his spokespeople say, that the first time somebody tried to shoot Donald Trump and they damn near shot off his ear. He's bleeding, he's pumping his fists, he's down in America, we win. And it went from, oh, well, it was a flesh wound, to they tore off his ear, to they pierced through him, to blah, blah, blah. Within like days, there was no scar, there's no flesh missing, nothing. It's strange. It's just strange. It's strange that Donald Trump, who will spend hours, if not years, complaining about rigged elections, this BS theory that the debate that he got his ass kicked in was rigged, but suddenly he just doesn't mention a conspiracy to shoot him, a plot to shoot him. He doesn't have any thoughts that a Democrat might have done that. He doesn't think that the evil Democrats or the lying left had something to do with this. No, he is bizarrely, uncharacteristically, and unbelievably quiet about the first shooting. But we do know that when that first shooting happened, he walked off stage with his fists in the air, bleeding. This is when Joe Biden was still his opponent. He looked like a hero. And I said to a lot of people, and I said it on air too, Donald Trump just ensured that he would be president again. But that was when Joe Biden was on the ticket. Now, Kamala Harris enters the scene, and things surge for the Democratic Party. Things surge for Kamala Harris. It's a dogfight in the swing states, and she's winning each battle. And it looks like if the election were today, Kamala Harris would be the next president. He gets devastated, demolished in the debate. He's losing ground. And then, what do you know? Someone else tries to shoot him. Now, again, you could make the case that that's just how the world goes. You know, once you are a target, you're a target. But it's hard to believe that this guy was capable of getting that close to Donald Trump. The first time it was like, okay, wait, this white man got into a big rally, carrying an AR, climbing fences and all this shit, and nobody noticed. And I said, well, he is a white man. People tend to be not focused on white men, right? But now, 4 or 6 weeks after the shooting, the alleged shooting, there's a dude in the bushes for 12 hours with a rifle. Nobody noticed this either. And then when they do notice him, the Secret Service, the people who are the highest trained, the most dangerous and fearless people on the planet, they let off shots, and not one of them hits this guy. Now, again, I don't want this guy to get shot. I don't want anybody to get shot. But geez, if my security force, who are trained killers and internationally trained warriors, can't stop this guy, I don't know. It seems strange. Now, I'm not saying that these are like actors or like, you know, scripted thing. I'm just saying the U.S. government has a long history of taking vulnerable people, sometimes mentally ill people, and getting them to do stupid things. And they become patsies and useful idiots for the powerful. This guy seems like somebody who was struggling with mental health, mental illness. He got radicalized on the internet, or confused on the internet, or angered on the internet, whatever would happen on the internet. And now all of a sudden, he has a rifle in his hand, and he makes it all the way to Mar-a-Lago, all the way across the bushes, and is able to damn near kill the president, or the former president. That is scary business. I hope Donald Trump gets better security. I hope the Secret Service does a better job. But this raises questions about the Secret Service. I mean, Secret Service has done a terrible job twice now. So if I'm Donald Trump, I'd be firing a whole bunch of people. Or maybe they're just not motivated to do their job well because they don't like them. I don't know. I don't have any plans, any thoughts, any theories about this other than it doesn't smell right. And Donald Trump immediately uses it for political leverage and financial leverage. That's standard Trump, whether it's true or not, but it doesn't inspire any kind of confidence for me that these things are true. So keep your eyes open, and later on, I think history might just affirm what I'm saying right now. Let's talk about something else, though, because Donald Trump wasn't done being crazy or hateful this past weekend. Just a few hours before the melee at Trump's golf course on Sunday, and I do think y'all remember this golf course violence as, again, connected to all this other stuff. Donald Trump was doing all the other stuff. He goes to his own website, his own social media platform. I don't even know if anyone else is on it but him. But he writes this. Jesus. He writes, "I hate Taylor Swift." Who does that? I mean, honestly. I mean, like, let's for a moment take the fact that he's one of the most powerful people in the world off the table. Let's ignore the fact that he has power and influence and that this could be dangerous. Just for a moment, we'll get back to that part. Let's just focus on the fact that Donald J. Trump is the former president of the United States. And he is literally a senior citizen. I mean, literally a senior citizen. He was born in 1946. The man is 78 years old. 78 years old. And he's tweeting, "I hate Taylor Swift," like a teenager. It's unpresidential, it's undignified, it's stupid, it's weird. But whatever. That's who Donald Trump is. He's all those things: unpresidential, undignified, stupid, and weird. I can live with that. But this demonstrates a level of mental instability and cruelty and recklessness that should all serve as evidence for why he should not be president. I don't care who you want to be president. I don't care who you don't want to be president. I'm just saying Donald Trump should not be president. If you're wondering why he made this ridiculous and somewhat random post, it's because Taylor Swift pissed off a whole lot of conservatives who, they love Taylor Swift. They would frame Taylor Swift as the not Beyonce, right? Because, Beyonce is Black and gifted and wonderful and beautiful and brilliant and amazing and, all the things. But she embraces and embodies Blackness too much. So they kind of made Taylor Swift the anti-Beyonce. And so they started projecting onto her all these conservative values and ideals and ideas. And Taylor Swift don't want no parts of that shit, man. She just happens to have a boyfriend that play football. That was about the extent of it. Other than that, man, she ain't got nothing to do with y'all redheaders. Anyway, Taylor Swift made that clear when she endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for president after Trump's disastrous debate on ABC. Now, Trump was clearly in his feelings because he tweeted once again in response to Taylor Swift, "I hate Taylor Swift," all caps, exclamation point. Now, he ain't the first president to talk about a pop culture person. Barack Obama said that Kanye West behaved like a jackass. Now, the difference is, I believe Obama thought he was off mic and off camera, but again, he was asked about Kanye, and Kanye had behaved like a jackass. All Taylor Swift did was say she didn't want to vote for Donald Trump. She wanted to vote for somebody else. Not the craziest thing, but what does it all mean? Well, in addition to being irresponsible and weird and reckless and unpresidential and undignified, it clearly can invite violence. And this is the thing: Donald Trump he's like catnip for crazy people. And I'm not trying to stigmatize the mentally ill. I don't mean like people who have legitimate mental illnesses as much as I'm talking about people who, these racist MAGA idiots who decide that if Donald Trump says it, we got to go after him. It's the same people that follow Elon Musk on Twitter. It's the same people that want to hurt, that send me violent threats when I say Caitlin Clark shouldn't be MVP of the WNBA. And by the way, Caitlin Clark got a lot of hate from the right after she hit the like button on Taylor Swift's post. Why? Because it drives them crazy when white people don't, particularly white women, don't fall in line for them. So these crazy people, that's what I mean by crazy. These crazy people. They're now seeing their crazy leader, their cult leader, Donald Trump, say that they should hate Taylor Swift. That's the argument, right? They should hate Taylor Swift. And that's dangerous for Taylor Swift. Now there's millions, if not tens of millions of people who are angry at her, who see her as a traitor. Now, you might say everybody has a right to say they hate Taylor Swift. Sure. I know a million people that don't like Taylor Swift's music, and they might be like, Taylor Swift is trash, blah, 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 blah. That's all good. You can have critical opinions. If you said I hate Taylor Swift's music, I wouldn't say a word. But in all caps, I hate Taylor Swift, right after she offers a political analysis, invites the crazies in his camp, and he knows he has them. These are the idiots that raided the White House. I mean, raided the Capitol building. These are the people that had an insurrection. These are the people who legitimately believe that Donald Trump had the election stolen from him when Donald Trump knows damn well he didn't. These are the people who will do harm. Now, I know Taylor Swift has security, and I hope Taylor Swift uses that security. I pray for Taylor Swift's safety, just like I do everybody else. But my God, this is the kind of danger that people like Trump invite. And it's not just Trump. Elon Musk did the same damn foolishness. Someone, again, random tweets, and they have a blue check, but it don't mean anything anymore. They say, why they want to kill Donald Trump? And he writes, and no one is even trying to assassinate Biden, Kamala, with the emoji. Now, again, there's a lot of ways to take that. He could just be saying, well, it's curious that Trump is getting all the danger. Or it could be interpreted as, why hasn't anybody tried to assassinate Biden or Kamala yet? Again, it could be read as an invitation to violence. I don't know what's in Elon Musk's head. I don't know what his intentions are. I'm not going to try to speak to Elon Musk's intentions. But what I will say is the tweet got, as you can see here, 36 million views. If only 10% of people interpret it in the worst possible way, that's still 3.6 million people who see it as an invitation to do harm to the president and vice president. And if 3.6 million people do that, how many of them are followers of Musk? How many of them care about Musk? How many of them like Musk and worship Musk, or worship Trump and know that Musk is now a Trump supporter, therefore they're tied together at the hip? In other words, Elon Musk controls the algorithm. He controls the platform. He makes sure that tweets like this get seen. And when they get seen, it is very, very dangerous. Now, Elon Musk usually doesn't back down or stand down, but he did this time, because as soon as the backlash came for this ridiculous tweet, he deleted it. That's right. Your boy Elon Musk did a tweet and delete on his own platform. And look, if you write something that's irresponsible or dangerous, you should delete it. You shouldn't keep it up just to make a point. But of course, he wouldn't just say, hey, I went too far, or this was irresponsible. He, of course, always makes it seem like our dumbasses couldn't understand what he was saying, right? Somebody said, he said, turns out that jokes are way less funny if people don't know the context and the delivery is plain text. So he's basically saying it's a joke that y'all didn't get. And someone reasonably responded, tee-hee, I was just joking about killing the president. Hee-hee, I'm the Joker, baby. Exactly. Like, come on, Elon. This isn't about jokes. This is about you making a wildly irresponsible comment. And no, it's not that we weren't smart to get your joke. It's not that your joke went over our head. It's not that you made a poorly executed joke. It wasn't a joke. You made a irresponsible remark that is deeply and darkly dangerous. And the reason why I stress this is because this is the moment we're in. We're in a moment where political violence is real and urgent. I think about the 1960s when we lost so many. We lost King, and we lost Kennedy, and we lost the other Kennedy, and we lost Medgar, and we lost Malcolm, and we're going down to Medgar. I'm not saying that this is that moment, but there are moments where political violence is on a wave, and fortunately, there's better security. It's harder to accomplish such acts of evil, but there are crazy people all over the world on every side of the aisle. Please, family, let's do our best to ratchet down the rhetoric, and also to call out people like Trump and Elon Musk when they do the opposite, when they ratchet up the rhetoric. Shame them, embarrass them, get them where it hurts in the pockets and in the polls, because that's the only way this is going to stop, because we do not want to enter a moment where one person dies, because that sets off a chain reaction, and we don't want to see that. We don't need to see that. We cannot see that. So family, please, let's keep a mind on all this stuff. All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Haiti. The right has been on a tear, finding new ways to engage in white supremacist, irrational, dishonest narratives about our Haitian brothers and sisters, particularly Haitian migrants here in the United States. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about one conservative commentator in particular who said the quiet part out loud. I think y'all know what I mean. I'll see you on the other side. All right, family, welcome back to Night School. I rarely encounter in my years of journalism smoking guns. Very rarely do you have the opportunity to catch somebody in the act doing something that for which you can hold them accountable. You know, like politicians rarely get caught like stealing the money or caught on tape saying like, hey, I stole the money, right? Like it rarely happens. It might be strong circumstantial evidence, but it is rare that you actually get to catch the person being that thing or doing that thing. So it is incredibly I don't want to say exciting, but I will say gratifying. I think that's a good word. It's incredibly gratifying on the rare occasion where you actually do catch somebody saying and doing something. And for Republicans and other right wingers, conservatives who may not identify with the party, but are certainly right wingers, one of the things that we rarely get the smoking gun for is racism. You know what I mean? Like again, like, yeah, lots of racist stuff happens, but usually when it comes to Republicans, the racism comes as a dog whistle. Usually when conservatives get caught being racist, they use a trope. They use a dog whistle. They use an idea that connects to longstanding white supremacist or racist anti-Black ideas about us. But you don't usually catch them actually just saying the N-word. And if you do, it's in private and it's like 100 years ago, or it's blackface at the college Halloween party. You know, it's something where they have a kind of either plausible deniability or a reasonable defense, but not today. Rich Lowry, who is the editor-in-chief of National Review, a right-wing conservative news outlet. He's also someone who I worked with at CNN for years. I always kind of thought was a little racist. Rich goes on TV to talk about Haitian migrants, which in and of itself is a racist conversation, trying to convince people somehow that stories about Haitians eating pets and animals, which are not true, are true, or that even or even if the story itself isn't racist. Well, in an effort to unpack all of this, Rich Lowry goes on Megyn Kelly's platform. Y'all know Megyn Kelly. She is a right-wing commentator, former news anchor for NBC and Fox News, where she and I both worked as colleagues. She and Rich started talking, and something interesting happened. It seemed like he dropped an N-bomb. Check this out.
I think it was in that interview where Dana Bash says, the police have gone through 11 months of recordings of calls, and they've only found 2 Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese from ponds. Only 2 calls. And I think one lesson of this whole story, people don't care about geese. People really hate geese. They all things considered, yeah. I think people would prefer Haitian migrants to come and take.
Why are we still talking about geese? The man just said Haitian migrants. I'm gonna play it for you again, not the whole thing. Just again, listen to this man.
Geese from ponds. Only 2 calls. And I think one lesson of this whole story, people don't care about geese. People really hate geese. They all things considered, yeah. I think people would prefer Haitian migrants to come and take the.
I'm sorry.
Complain about Haitian migrants taking geese from ponds. Found 2 Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese.
Haitian migrant. Okay, I'm a reasonable person. I remember a few weeks ago on Fox News, Brian Kilmeade said college sorority, and people thought he said colored sorority. I listened to it myself. It sounded like color. It sounded like college. It didn't sound like color to me. I didn't go out and defend them, but I didn't pile on and criticize them because I can't, in good faith and good conscience, criticize somebody for something they didn't do. I think it cheapens all of our arguments. It's just unprincipled. So I'm willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. I sat there for a while and said, what word was he trying to say? What word sounds like nig? What N-word could he have been using? I said, maybe he just speaks fast and he was saying migrant, like he was trying to say mig as in migrant, like he's reading from a prompter. I don't know. I tried to listen to it. Listen to it again, y'all. Tell me what y'all think. Again, what else could he have been trying to say?
Calls, and they've only found 2 Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants.
So then I said, well, maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Let's listen to it in slow motion. That way we don't have to guess, whether it was an N or an M, or whether his mouth was moving in a way that was hard to catch because of our slow Negro ears. So this is the audio slowed down to 30%. So you can see he's not trying to make the M sound. So it's like saying migrants. Looks a lot like nigger to me. I don't know. Drop your comments in there. Let me know what you're thinking. Drop it in the comment. Well, is he saying something other than nigger to me? Is he saying something other than nigger to you? And again, Rich Lowry is a prominent commentator. He is a prominent right-wing voice. But here's the thing. Because look, people are going to call people the N-word if they're racist. Why did Megyn Kelly not say, hey, what did you mean to say? Somebody said turn on closed caption. When you slow it down and put on closed caption or use AI to capture closed caption, it says niggers. It's not. It's not. It's not like a mystery with the AI or the closed captioning thought. Somebody said I'm going to say he was reading too fast. What was he reading, brother? He's not a news anchor. There was no news. There's no teleprompter. He was making casual conversation. I don't get it. I'm not buying that. I don't know what he's. I don't know what's happening. But again, it was. You don't. I have never accidentally said a racial slur, except maybe the N-word, where I might be like, yeah, man, niggas, I mean, brothers, right? Because I say the N-word privately. So that's the only way it slips out. I don't slip and say racial slurs about anybody else, because I don't say racial slurs about people in public or in private. So they don't happen in public because they don't happen in private. But again, the question is, why no? He didn't say, oops, sorry, that came out wrong. I meant to say this. He could have corrected himself. Megyn Kelly could say, hey, what did you mean to say? Because Megyn Kelly, I don't believe, supports the use of the N-word. So why wouldn't she just say, yo? In fact, I know Megyn Kelly doesn't support the use of the N-word. So why would you do that? Why wouldn't you say something, Megyn Kelly? Because this is baffling to me. But again, it's apropos for the conversation, which is a racist conversation about Haitian immigrants and migrants. And as a matter of fact, let's talk about that, because that to me is the real story here. Who was it that repeated and continues to repeat false claims about Haitian migrants in Ohio eating pets? Trump and his running mate, JD Vance. They still outside repeating these false claims, peddling lies, even after the lies have been debunked by the mayor, by the police, and by city officials. Literally, all the people they say are the sources of the story have debunked the story. And even after, and this is important, y'all stay with me, even after the woman who sparked the controversy, right? Because this is an online conspiracy theory that got sparked by a woman. She admitted that she never meant to spread false rumors. She said it just exploded. She was just talking and yapping, and she said something that wasn't true, but she didn't know it would start a whole controversy. She underestimated the power of racism and ignorance and political cynicism. Anyway, how how did this explode? How did it go from a random made up story from a single anonymous woman to a national, not just moment, but damn near a national movement? Well, the answer sadly comes from y'all's vice president, or no, excuse me, y'all's vice presidential candidate, JD Vance. Check him out here on CNN, where he was pressed on this issue by Dana Bash. Okay, check this out and see for yourself. I'm not sure why this is. Oh, here we go. Boom. There we go. Check this out and see for yourself.
You again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said
We
that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So the eating dogs and
We are
cats thing is not
We are
accurate.
creating, Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you?
Now, you could read that generously or ungenerously. You could read that generously, that he was saying we created a story, i.e., we took something happening and we made sure that the media focused on it. That's what he effectively said. But what it seemed more like was that he got caught. That he said we created a story because they did just that. They made some bullshit up. And Dana Bash caught it. Now, notice he keeps calling her Dana and not Dana, by the way. Like, I don't just do a comment. Like, call people by their name. Her name is Dana Bash, and it's not that hard. She's a fixture in American media and in CNN in particular. Like, call her by her name. You know? But anyway, that's, again, these are all sexist. And maybe, anyway, I'm not going to get into that part. JD Vance knows that these Haitians ain't eating dogs and cats. They're so pro law enforcement. They love the police. They live and die with the police. Blue Lives Matter. Immunity for police on every level, local, state, federal, blah, 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 blah. But now suddenly when the police say no Haitians are eating cats, oh, I stand with the government. Now when the mayor is saying no one's eating cats, even when the city officials say no one's eating dogs and cats, now you can't believe it. Now you believe random accounts. Well, JD Vance, do you believe the random accounts of Donald Trump being a sex predator? Do you believe the random, the citizen accounts of Donald Trump being a liar and a this and a that? I mean, you actually said you did before you said you didn't. But my point is, when do you decide when to ignore data and evidence and official records and just believe random rumors? When do you decide to do that? When do you decide not to? You're doing this because you know this story resonates, and you know that your refusal to reject the lie about Haitians eating animals pisses off Haitians, and it pisses off Black people, and it pisses off liberals. And those are all the people who you want to piss off, because pissing them off galvanizes your racist base. So we know why you're doing it. We know why you're making up the story. We know why you're creating a story. Dana Bash got you right on the money. She got you dead to rights, man. You're lying. But the lie isn't just political theater or political gamesmanship. Innocent Haitian families are being threatened. They're living in fear for themselves and their children. People are getting bomb threats. People are dying because you are lying. So please, 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 JD Vance, quit the lies. And for all you people out there that swear that y'all aren't racist and you just love Republicans or you just believe in Trump, look at this narrative. Listen to this lie and tell me if this is sustainable or reconcilable with your choice of Trump. Again, I'm not telling you who to vote for at this moment, but how can you sit with yourself and vote for him in light of this kind of foolishness? Anyway, y'all, we're going to take another break. We come back. We got one last story that I want to talk to y'all about. It's a big one. It's an important one. And it's about your stupid ass vice presidential candidate again. We'll talk about it on the other side. Stay right here. Welcome back to Night School, family. Tonight we've been talking about JD Drew a lot. JD Drew, I wish it was JD Drew. JD Drew is, of course, an all-star level baseball player drafted by the Phillies, ended up playing for the damn Cardinals. But anyway, I don't mean JD Drew, I mean JD Vance. So if you like JD Vance, go somewhere else. If you like JD Drew, you're kind of welcome here. Anyway, no matter who you are, jump in the chat and tell us where you're from. Hit that all points bulletin for us. That means hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the join button, do all the things. Subscribe to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. Like this video. Also, you can share on social media and ask more people to join the Night School Classroom. Also, please head over to Instagram and give us a follow at Night School MLH. The link is posted in the description of this video to take you directly to that page. Now, let's talk just a little bit more. Just a little bit more about your boy JD. JD Vance, in my estimation, has been an extraordinary disappointment to Donald Trump. Donald Trump will never say that because that would speak to his judgment. You can't keep running through secretaries of state and vice presidents and press secretaries and all the things. And at some point, it don't become a measure of your talent or your efforts or your insight or your leadership skill. But my Lord, he's waged war on women. He's waged war on cat ladies. He's waged war on the truth. He's continuously embarrassed himself. And also, he's continuously contradicted what Donald Trump has said on the campaign trail or what Donald Trump has said in other spaces. He's a liability. He is a severe political liability, y'all. And so when I see JD Vance undermine Trump's campaign, it just brings joy to my face. And he did it again. He did it again. At least once a week, JD Vance says something or does something that makes Donald Trump look like a liar or makes Donald Trump look stupid. He does something to embarrass the campaign, and he does something to give negative attention to the Trump campaign. And this week is no different. As you know, Donald Trump has tried desperately to distance himself from Project 2025. In fact, he has said, I haven't seen it. I haven't read it. I don't know what's in it. I mean, it is a wild distortion of the truth, but yeah, hey, look, whatever works for you, Donald Trump. That would be a much easier sell if your VP choice was kind of on the same page. Instead, JD Vance didn't just engage the 2025 Project 2025 agenda. He's all in. He says that conservatives need to be ruthless and replace the existing ruling class with another ruling class. He says there's no compromise with the current government. So if Republicans want to stop losing, they need to overthrow the government. This is what this guy is saying. He says that Project 2025 is the way to go. Listen to this. Just listen to this man for yourself, so you don't think I'm being dramatic or exaggerate. Listen to what he says and judge for yourself.
I think that the thing that we have to take away from the last 10 years is that we really need to be really ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. I was talking about this with someone earlier today, where you remember there was some threat that congressional or Senate Republicans made. If you get rid of the filibuster, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And you actually look at it, it's like, well, this is not that interesting.
We're going to actually deliver on our promises that we've made for decades.
Right?
Sounds
this is the threat. If you get rid of the filibuster, we're going to do this stuff. Like, they're talking about expanding the Supreme Court. They're talking about adding, 2 senators from heavily Democratic places.
You get rid of the filibuster, we'll actually deliver on defund.
We'll do what the base has been telling us that we don't want to do.
Yeah. So I think, look, I am a cynic about this and maybe even a little bit of a pessimist, but I think the challenge confronting American conservatives is that we have lost every major powerful institution in the country, except for maybe churches and religious institutions, which of course are weaker now than they've ever been. We have lost big business. We've lost finance. We've lost the culture. We've lost the academy. And if we're going to actually really affect real change in the country, it will require us completely replacing the existing ruling class with another ruling class. I say that knowing and hearing myself, it sounds really hard. It is really hard, but I don't think there's like a detent with these people. I don't think there's sort of a compromise that we're going to come with the people who currently actually control the country. Unless we overthrow them in some way, we're going to keep losing. And that's the challenge. Now,
some of y'all said, he didn't say overthrow. You're assigning words to him. No, he said overthrow. He literally is going point by point through the Project 2025 agenda and saying all the things that have to happen. He is advancing and endorsing Project 2025 word for word, while Donald Trump is saying, we haven't seen it, we haven't read it. Exactly. This is, again, as close to a smoking gun as you're going to get in politics usually. Problem is, people aren't paying attention to it. Donald Trump, JD Vance are committed to the Project 2025 agenda. Now, Donald Trump doesn't have a real political commitment. He just wants to run the world. I always say there's 2 kinds of people who want to change the world and people who want to run the world. Some people are deep ideologues on every side of the political aisle who just want to run things. Who just want to impose their will on the world. They want to be warmongers like John Bolton, or they want to be religious warriors. They're anti this or pro that, whatever the thing you might be is. That's what you want to do. You want to change the world. And then there are people who just want to run it. They just want to be powerful. Donald Trump is the latter for sure. He just wants to run the world. But because he's so indifferent, he's willing to be an open town in a time of war for anybody who can help him achieve his goals. So if it's a warmonger, he'll take it. If it's an anti-trans person, he'll take it. If it's a white supremacist, he'll take it. And in this case, it's Project 2025. So he's willing to quietly accept the support of those who are advancing Project 2025. His own political policy choices, rather, are driven by the aims of Project 2025. They always have been. But he's willing to throw the rocks and hide his hands. But JD Vance is so dumb, so politically unsophisticated, that he keeps getting caught saying the opposite of what Donald Trump says because he's being too honest or he's being too arrogant. However you want to think about it, it ain't going to work. So please understand, y'all, For some of you out there who really want to believe that Donald Trump doesn't care about Project 2025, some of you are literally looking for a reason to vote for Donald Trump. Please stop. Knock it off. There's no space in a democracy for Donald Trump. There's no space as president, I'm saying, because his vision is anti-democratic. He wants to take over. He wants to literally overthrow parties, not defeat them, overthrow them. He's using the language of insurrection. He's using the language of treason almost to talk about political change. That's not good, y'all. That's quite dangerous. So we're not going to allow that, are we? How do you not allow it? Well, you gotta vote. You gotta organize. You gotta do something other than just watch my show. Although watching my show is a good way to do it too. Anyway, y'all, one more break. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. I got one more thing I want to talk to y'all about before we go. All right, family, welcome back to Night School. Today was a sad day in the music world. Today, Tito Jackson passed away at the age of 70. Very few people who grew up in my generation or the generation before, or maybe even generation after, don't know who Tito Jackson is. And they certainly know who the Jackson Five is. He was one of 5 brothers who comprised the incredibly popular and gifted and really world-changing group, the Jackson Five. He's also the father, of course, of Taj, Terrell, and TJ, also known as 3T, the R&B band. He's an incredible man, and we wish him and his family all the peace that is possible. Obviously, for Tito Jackson, it's to rest in peace after a life of extraordinary accomplishment and joy. And for his family and friends and fans, it's to find peace and comfort in this time of mourning. Tito Jackson was born in Gary, Indiana, October 15th, in fact, 1953. His birth name was Toriano Adaril Jackson, but they called him Tito. He was the third of 9 siblings, and every single one of them, as y'all know, became entertainers. This was a family that is among the most gifted the world has ever seen. And while many people talk about Michael Jackson, of course, they talk about Janet Jackson, of course, they talk about Jermaine Jackson, who had singles. You know, they talked about Marlon, who was kind of the original star of the show before Michael came and did something totally different. Tito sometimes was the joke, the punchline, or he was sometimes the person who didn't get the credit, or he was sometimes the person who played the back of the crowd. You know, Tito Jackson sometimes wasn't appreciated for who and what he was. It's important to understand. Tito Jackson was probably definitely was the most gifted musician in the entire Jackson family. He was a guitarist who'd been playing since he was 10. In fact, one day he was, according to his mother, Catherine, he used to play his dad, Joe's guitar at home. And one day he popped a string or something, and Joe came home and was angry and wanted to know what happened to his guitar. And his mother, Catherine, Tito's mother, Catherine, said, well, you know, before you get mad at him, listen to the boy play. And she listened to the boy play. And he listened to the boy play. And they never questioned his talent again. He played it better than Joe, she said. And Joe agreed. And that kind of musicianship, that kind of prodigious talent, the same that we saw with Michael Jackson, we saw with Tito Jackson. He was he was gifted in a way that I think people don't fully understand. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Jackson 5. He's gotten Grammy nominations. But he also was a gifted studio sessionist. He was a gifted blues guitarist. He was a wonderful stage performer. At 10 years old, they were playing these songs on stage, even though he didn't play them on in the studio sometimes at that young age, because they were, they had studio guys. But he had the voice, the moves, the musicianship, the ear, the eye of a professional from day one. Anything you could say about Michael Jackson as a dancer and a singer, you could say about Tito Jackson as a guitarist and as a writer and as a producer. I'm not saying that he is to guitarist what Michael Jackson is to dancing, but I am saying in terms of prodigious talent at that age, he was a star. He was a bona fide pro. He was special. And anybody who knows the Jackson 5 knows that Tito in many ways was the heart and soul. I had the opportunity to spend some time with the Jacksons after Michael passed, and the other brothers hung out with me for a little bit. They let me hang out with them, the cool kids. And they were just so much fun. They were so filled with life and laughter. People always focus on the weirdness of, some parts of the family. But what they often missed was just how ordinary and fun and life affirming and beautiful the Jacksons are, including and maybe even especially Tito as a father. They call him, Papa T. They called him Coach T. He was a leader. He was a father. He was a mentor. He was a friend to so many people. And in my times hanging out with them, they just a good soul. And he didn't need to be in front of 50,000 people at a stadium. He didn't need to be in Bucharest with people crying. He was comfortable being at the Blues Club, getting busy, because that's who and what he was. So shout out to Tito Jackson. Rest in peace to the great Tito Jackson. Sending you and your family love and light and healing. Anyway, that's it for Night School tonight. I want to thank you all for watching. It was an incredible experience, as always, to hang out with y'all. Man, we're in the middle of the month and we still rocking and rolling. I'm so grateful for every single one of you. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And of course, make sure you hit that join button. When you hit the like button, you increase our algorithmic strength. That is to say, you let the internet know that corporate media ain't the only game in town, and we out here fighting and battling, and we winning. We will win the battle for your eyeballs and for media supremacy, because we don't have the money that corporate media has, but we do have the heart and we do have the story. So help us do that by hitting the like button and make sure that content does something. Hit the subscribe button. By expanding our subscriber base, you increase our social media footprint, which allows the content to get to more people. And of course, if you're so inclined, hit the join button. That's right, hit the join button. Become a monthly subscriber to the channel. You can hit the join button right there if you're on the desktop by clicking the button that says join. Otherwise, go to the description and it takes you to a link that allows you to join. I've seen some of y'all on social media today talking about, I watch the show every week. I watch the show every night. I wait for it to come on. I don't know why I haven't hit the membership join button yet. I'm wondering too, family. By hitting the join button, you give us the financial stability we need to build the channel up, to pay our staff, to expand our resources, to invest in the studio. All the things that you want to see us do, we can do with your support. So please consider hitting the join button and becoming a monthly paid member. If you can't do that, consider a one-time donation tonight. I ask people who don't want to do the monthly commitment of a membership to make a one-time donation every month. No obligation, no pressure. But if you can do it today, go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle and make a donation. No amount is too big. No amount is too small. If you give $1, we're grateful. If you give $1 million, we are maybe a little more grateful, but we're grateful. Anything in between, we are grateful all the same. But if everybody watching right now could make a donation of at least $10, if everybody watching right now could make a donation of $10 for the entire month, that's to get night school Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. That's to get office hours at 9 p.m. That's to get coffee and books Saturday at 9 a.m. That's to get the classroom in the cell Sundays at 9 a.m. All that content we ask to consider just dropping a 10 spot in Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle for the month. Again, it allows us to meet our financial goals. It allows us to grow the channel. It allows us to pay our staff. It allows all the things to happen. But again, if you don't have 10, you can give less. If you have more than 10, you can give more. And if you don't have anything, that's okay too, family. Just keep watching, keep liking the content, keep subscribing to the content, keep sharing the content, but most of all, keep studying the content, because deep study is what night school is all about. See you tomorrow. Peace.